Hi everyone, good morning and have a great day. So, we're going to move into chapter 2 of the case of the bonsai manager. And in this chapter, we are going to look at what intuition is and also something called the idea of the BRIM, BRIM. So, BRIM, BRIM stands for Brain Remote Implicit Memory. So, we'll discuss that in the next couple of days as we move on. But for today, I think we'll be able to cover what is intuition and, in the words of Gopal, how to develop intuition and things like that. So, what is intuition? So sometimes we say, right? I'm switching into a bit of Tamil here. So we say in Tamil, right? எனக்கு என்னமோ என் உள் மனசு சொல்லுது இப்படி நடக்கும்னு சொல்லிட்டு. So that's what we say, right? For the people who don't understand Tamil, what I said is, my heart tells me that this is going to happen. So I feel something is going to happen, right? So what is that? That's some kind of an extra sensory perception, or you call it intuition, or you call it insight, whatever word you call it. That is what it is actually, right? Sometimes it happens in a flash. So for example, you start off a project and first few days you don't know what to do. Let's say typically a consulting assignment. In my experience, I'll say I've started many consulting assignments in QA. So what happens many times is you don't know how that engagement or how that consulting assignment will progress, right? So the only thing is, they say at the end of this consulting exercise, the client wants to get a roadmap in terms of where they stand today, and how they can develop their quality processes, or how they can improve their testing process. This is a very ambiguous statement, but for the sake of business, you still go about and sign it up and get started. But once you get started, what is that you really want to do? How can you actually try and figure out what the customer's current testing process is and how it can be improved and things like that? So sometimes, you don't know what will happen. For a few days, you keep thinking, and then suddenly you feel like, okay, why don't I come up with a, assessment tool, or something like a health card, where I say I take each project and then do discussions with each of the stakeholders, try and understand what they feel about the whole thing, and then have periodical interviews and things like that. Try to benchmark their application against some kind of industry standards, and then come up with a nice health card report saying that this is how we feel your current status is, and this is what you need to do from here. So that one spark of a moment where you feel like this is a good thing to get started with in order to achieve my end goal, could come from intuition. And it is not that it purely comes from intuition. Based on a lot of experience and a lot of work that you have done in the past, you could get the trigger somewhere actually. So that could be a simple example of intuition, right? So in this chapter, we'll look a little bit more about what Gopal says. So Gopal also gives a similar example. He says, Archimedes jumped out of the tub exclaiming, Eureka! When he figured out what volume of water is displaced when a weight is immersed into water. Eureka is a very famous statement that was made by Archimedes when he figured out that volume of water is displaced when a weight is immersed into water. So he says, in reality, intuition need not necessarily come in a flash. All of us have intuition. In spirituality, intuition is the product of an attitude of letting life flow naturally. Psychologists say that intuition is habitual, and that if we listen to our inner voice as a habit, we will become more intuitive, which is again valid. As I said, sometimes you feel like, I feel something is going to happen, my heart tells me, could be an intuition. And science knows a lot about how the brain functions, but is still unable to answer what exactly intuition is and how it works. It has been proven that altered states of consciousness and deep relaxation cause the brain to produce alpha and theta wavelengths, which is good for intuition to function. So many people say, right, early morning I do meditation for 15 minutes, or yoga, not yoga, but meditation for 15 minutes. That helps me to, do things better, and I'm able to focus and things like that. So 15 minutes of focusing on something or doing a meditation can actually, trigger intuition, and it can help you to find new ideas and things like that. So it is also known that intuition is enhanced by certain factors: receiving information, sensing, seeing, hearing, smelling. So when you basically have these feelings, intuition can be enhanced. An open mind, including a belief in the power of intuition. So you should have an open mind without, you should be like, I'm open to this. I'm more like a clean slate. That's how you need to approach it. If you come with the mindset that I already know this, intuition may not work. A strong desire to achieve or overcome and a positive attitude could enhance intuition. An attempt to remove oneself from the outside world and self awareness. I mean, it's the same thing that we spoke about yesterday, which is like you need context, self awareness, and motivation. Something similar is what Gopal is saying here. Willingness to take risks supported by common sense. That again can be enhanced with intuition. Many businessmen have done that, right? So if you ask somebody, why did you invest in this? They may not have an answer immediately, but 3 years, 4 years down the line, it might work for them, right? So we have seen many businessmen like that. WhatsApp could be an example. I don't know why somebody would have started. If you ask them, it is for communication. If you ask those people, if you'd have asked them, why are you trying to create WhatsApp? There is already Yahoo, there is already Skype, there is this, that, everything. Why are you doing this? They would have probably thought, well, yeah, but I'm trying to do something else. So they may not have had an immediate answer, but 4 years, 5 years down the line, when it actually took shape, we figure out why it was introduced, right? So sometimes that's how intuition works. So while we know that we have something called intuition, we are unsure how it works and how we can develop it. All that we do know is that to develop intuition, we must learn what cannot be taught. To learn what cannot be taught, we need an idea about how the brain is organized to learn. It is a bit like a complex combination lock. So Gopal says intuition cannot be taught. If you have to learn what cannot be taught, it is important to understand how the brain works. So he's going to explain how the brain is set up and things like that in order to help us understand how to improve our intuition. The brain as a combination lock. So he says, think of the brain as a combination lock. Suppose it takes only 4 digits to open that. What will you do? You will try the numbers 0000 to 9999. One of those combinations or one of those numbers in that series should work, right? Now he says, don't look at it that way. Make it as a 100-digit number. And then also let's assume the 100 digits change by every hour of the day. So for example, morning 7 to 8, you have to try all the 100-digit numbers. And if you go past 8 o'clock, then the series will change. Now that makes it very complex, right? So he says a trial and error method in such kind of a thing will not be practical at all. So he says you will necessarily have to tinker with the lock over an extended period of time, register patterns, recall those patterns, and establish your own intuitive way to unlock the combination lock. So he is also giving an example of Dan Brown's novel, The Da Vinci Code. I have not read it, so I can't say. But he says that in that novel, there is a cylindrical device called a cryptex, which contains a secret. And the cryptex has 5 rotating parts. Each part can be set at 1 out of 26 possibilities. And Sophie, who is one of the main protagonists, along with Robert Langdon, tells Langdon that the only way to access the information inside is to know the proper 5-letter password. And with 5 dials, each one with 26 letters, that is 26 to the 5th power, approximately 12 million possibilities. It was impossible to approach the problem logistically and sequentially. The riddle was solved through well-judged answers to clues that came their way as the story unfolded. They used a combination of intuition and analysis. The human brain is even more complex than the cryptex referred to in the novel. So, however, in the matter of getting locked and unlocked, the brain does not behave like a combination lock. For something to enter and reside in the brain, this personalized lock has to be opened. What opens the mind of one person may not open the mind of another person. And for each person, there are much more than 12 million possibilities referred to in the novel. So just think about it. How, if the novel scenario is talking about 12 million possibilities, the brain is much higher. So the only thing you do recognize is when your mind has been unlocked. You recognize it. I mean, like I should have said it in a different tone. It says, the only thing you do recognize is when your mind has been unlocked. When the mind has been opened, you get the aha feeling. You can get the aha feeling out of some story, emotion, or experience that you have uniquely related to. That is why it is important to be exposed to stories, experiences, and emotions. You never know when you will get the aha feeling, and that moment is not the same for all people. Once you get the aha feeling, there is some chance that that lesson will enter and stay in your brain. Knowing that there is an aha feeling when the combination lock opens is nice, but the question arises, how is this combination lock structured and how does it work? That's what you're going to talk in the next couple of days. I'm stopping it here. So we'll discuss how the brain is organized tomorrow, which part of the brain does what, which part of the brain mostly does analytical stuff and all that, and then we'll get into BRIM, which is the brain remote implicit memory. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone, and have a good day.